Hey guys, on this video we're going to go through a pool demolition, swimming pool removal, and we'll kind of go through from start to finish. And you can see some of the equipment we use, kind of how we go about the process. We'll go through the access, through the home's access, and how we're going to get into the pool. And I'll show you some demolition, and then we'll see what it looks like at the ends. Anyways, we'll start now. So here's the approach on this pool removal, access side. We'll come in through here by this tree, in between the house and this tree. We'll come through this fence, around here, back through this additional fence, into the pool area. So a really old pool, and it's got lots of good stuff in the floor. Who knows who's living in there? Anyways, this is the site. 60s and 70s stairway entrance. Here's the old jumper inner, and I'm sure this pool got its use. Does have one kind of interesting thing that I don't know if I've ever seen before, but this step design, somebody got really creative with the gunite on these steps. And if you can see, these steps they don't just die into the wall, they kind of have an upsweep on each corner. That's kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen steps like that. Actually might make it a little better for the pool sweep to kind of ride up the edge of those steps instead of getting kind of stuck in the corner. But anyways, this is the cavity. Another thing, if you can see, this pool has no shallow end whatsoever. This pool right here, by shallow end I mean there's no actual flat part to the shallow. It goes from about 3.5 feet deep right here on this side, and it goes at a straight angle down to that depth down there, which is probably 8.5 feet deep. So you probably couldn't hardly stand anywhere in the shallow end without fighting it constantly, which, man, that would have been a real bummer. But anyways, so that's the pool. You can tell nothing's ever been changed out. This skimmer lid, that skimmer box is actually copper casing in there. That's all copper all the way down to where the plumbing, the return line comes up into that skimmer box. So anyways, somebody added that little pool sweep deal after the fact. Pressure line goes over here to the pool equipment. I believe the pool equipment's probably in here. Yep. And looks like probably was, oh man, I don't think this was ever updated. As an old brass pump. Maybe the motor got switched out, but filter casing, yeah, that stuff looks all original. And here's a heater boiler. Man, that's an old one right there. Wow. All the copper lines coming into that thing. Yeah. That on top of there is not part of the heater. That would be a Christmas tree holder. Yeah. That is it. So anyways, this shut'll come down to come out of there if they want it to. They may keep it for storage, so anyways, we'll see. But so it's chopped there. Actually, we'll break the floor out. We'll punch the deep end out and punch the shallow end out. And this cavity is actually going to stay as is because they don't want to replace the concrete decking around it. And anyways, the permit through the city will note that the cavity is going to remain. We'll just cut off that, chop that, and fill her in. And so anyways, that'll be the next step. There's the combo we're probably going to use for this pool removal we're going to start. Anyways, this is the T595. Both these and the E32, both these Bobcat are right under 6 feet, 5'8". So any access that's 6 feet or so, you can get these machines in. Trailer's got a bunch of dirt and stuff on it because it had been wet mud, but it's dried over the last few days. So anyways, when this thing goes out, we'll have to clean that trailer off before it hits the road. But anyways, that's the combination we'll use, and then we'll also run the breaker. This thing doesn't have the breaker on it right now, but we'll run the breaker, and I'll go shoot that breaker real quick and show you what that breaker looks like, and we'll haul it with this truck to the site. And anyway, so that's the equipment we'll use for it, and then see if we can break this thing up and get it filled. The breaker we'll use on that E32 to break that pool. I've gone over these breakers before, but anyways, I'll talk about it a little bit again. This is the rammer by Allied, and supposedly they don't actually make this design anymore, and they went to a standard mole point more like this. This isn't an Allied, this is a Stanley breaker. But anyways, these things are sweet because that conical breaker head, the actual point, wasn't a standard mole point like this. These, if an operator's not paying attention, especially in pool removal, these things will snap off right here. The operator buries the bit, and then he kind of pries on it, and they snap off right here. This breaker, I mean, you can't hardly break these things. I mean, you can, but on an E32 on this size machine, and based on what power it has, running that breaker, man, they're a really good setup. And like I said, that supposedly they're not making this one anymore, which is too bad. Maybe down the line somebody will come out with that conical design again. But anyways, that's a sweet setup. You cut your breaker maintenance down by half, and we probably ran that thing for 2 years straight. Not this one in particular, but ran it when we had bought the other one, ran it for 2 years straight. We didn't have a single problem with that breaker. I think at the end of 2 years we ended up replacing the sleeve. There's a kind of a poly sleeve on the inside the breaker that head slides in, and those kind of wear out over time. But other than that, man, we didn't have a single problem with it. So yeah, and this is like a regular standard Stanley breaker here, and these are good too. Like I said, it just this is actually, we put a different head on this because every once in a while we'll rent an excavator if we don't have one, or we got too many projects going. We'll rent a small one, and the rental place here uses the CP style head. So anyways, we just mounted an old breaker with that CP just in case we needed one, and they couldn't get us one. So anyways, that's why that's set up that way. But yeah, so that'll be the breaker we'll use with that E32 on the trailer, and we'll show it out at the site. Here we're at this site here, starting to bring the equipment in. Here's how we're using the steel plates for this project. We're ramping over this little wall, and then we're using a plate there to kind of protect that asphalt. And here's how we're coming through here. Loaders in here. So this pool removal is a little different in the fact that we're not breaking any of the pool walls down. So got to break pretty big holes in the shallow end and the deep end so that water drains through. It's like having a pot without a hole in the bottom of it, so that's important. On the flip side of pool removal is filling the pool in. You need a real good, clean source of dirt to do the backfill with, and you always want to make sure you have clean material, doesn't have organics in it or anything, and that it's good for compaction. Here's the access after the fact. This is how we came in, and we saw that on the other videos. So let's see, let's open this thing up. How we get in there? There we go. And that we came over that wall with that steel plate. Came through that area, through that fence, and came all the way back into the back, into the pool area. Here is the pool area. Now, like we talked about before, she wants to keep the decking, keep all the concrete around the pool, and the pool is essentially going to be a little garden area. So anyways, not much to it. Backfilled and compacted the pool cavity, and it's ready to go. So this is kind of the most basic of situations. Now, one reason why the material is to the concrete right there, once they do all their plantings and stuff, they're going to generate a little material, so it's actually a little bit lower than that, and then they'll fill it up with topsoil or put a little topsoil on top of it for whatever she's going to plant. So anyways, that's what this sucker looks like. All done. Here's where we came through. Yeah. So that was a video about the most basic of pool removals, where we're just filling in the cavity. I'll show you some more complete removals, removals where we actually break the walls down and then backfill the cavity. We'll go through those types. But anyways, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.